The Icons of Real Estate Podcast. Are you ready to learn the proven money-making secrets from top-producing icon agents? Ready to skyrocket your business? This podcast is for you. Tune in every week and find out how to implement proven strategies to 10 times your business. From $3 million to $30 million in just 12 months. Brought to you by the Masters in Real Estate Marketing, Ardor SEO.
Welcome to the Icons of Real Estate. I'm Tim Calloway. We have a very special guest for you today, all the way from Lynchburg, Virginia, Ruth Renee. How are you, Ruth?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing great now that you're here.
Yes, I prefer princess.
Right, princess. My listeners know my middle name. I've mentioned it middle time, but we're going to go by Tyrone and Princess today. That'll be
Tyrone and Princess. Thank you.
So I'll have to ask you, and I ask it of everyone. It's kind of like the breaking the ice question, right? I have to ask you, were you like 5 years old and tugging on your parents' pant leg saying, hey, mommy, daddy, I want to be a realtor? Or were you like the rest of us where we just kind of fell butt backwards into this?
What just happened? No, so I grew up with teachers for parents. And so I was a teacher first. So, and they kind of say you do what you know, right? So, we moved 2 or 3 times in my youth, but I never thought about the career of any of it. And so I actually became a university professor. I thought I was doing one better than my high school teaching parents. I was like, I'll be a university professor. And so that's actually how I stayed stateside because I'm not American. So there's a TN visa, NAFTA treaty visa that allows you to teach. Like a professor is a viable reason to get a renewing visa to be in America. But, there's only so long you can do that for. So I had to eventually get married, get a green card in that order. And then once that happened, it wasn't that I really felt, but it was weird because while I was teaching, I made a friend in town who we'd gone to the same college, and he was a very prominent realtor and he hated doing stuff alone. So he'd be at open houses on Sunday, be like, call me up, be like, bring me a coffee, I'm bored. And so I'd bring a coffee and we'd sit on the porch, and then clients would come and I would listen to him. I would just, I'm just drinking my coffee and I'm listening. And this happened for years. He called me up and be like, hey, I gotta go show this property. Come. I'm like, for real? In the car with your clients? He's like, yeah, come. So he just dragged me everywhere. And at the time we were best friends. And so it was just hanging out with my friend. Right. But what I didn't realize was I was absorbing all this knowledge as I'm listening to him show properties or watching him do open houses. And so when I got married and we ended up in financial ruin, and I'm like, crap, I'm approaching 40 and I have no game plan and no money. Right. I was like, so it seems like that was pretty lucrative for my friend. And to be fair, actually, more of the truth is that I bought my first home when I got married, and it was such a horrible experience. And my thought was, if you're getting paid, I knew it was a 3% commission to the agent. I was like, I'm going to be hands off because I'm a teacher. That's what I do all day, not this all day. So, they dropped ball after ball. I mean, just a mess. And because I'm so overeducated, I have 4 college degrees, because I have so many degrees, I was like, I'm just going to get my license so that the next time that this happens, if I go to sell or whatever, I'll just do it for myself. It was almost this forget you, I'll figure it out. I'll get qualified and then I'll just handle it. And so they kind of all happened, buying the house, financial disaster was kind of all happening around the same time. And so then I came out of it with a license and I'm like, well, let's do this.
Right. Well,
so that's how I fell into it. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's a great story, actually. I got to back up though. How is it you came out with 4 degrees? Now, I'm not the most educated guy in the world. I do have a son that is. He's a PhD student at the University of Miami. But 4 degrees, that's I look at that and I go, man, that's overkill.
Yeah, oh my gosh. And also way overeducated to be a realtor, right? you need a high school diploma. So I did too much schooling. Yeah. So no, so rewind, when I'm the Canadian in another country, kind of the thing to be able to stay here was to teach. And one of the perks at the school I was at was if you're teaching, you can go to school for free. Oh, yeah. So I was like, well, I mean, it was time, but it was free. So I had, I did my undergrad, and then I got a grad assistantship as a teacher. That's what actually kind of put me in the door. I was a grad assistant teaching a class, and I was like, wow, this is fun. And then I got hired as an adjunct, but I kept going to school. So,
Gotcha.
I got a second master's, and then I started the PhD of counseling, did 1 year and was like, no. And then I did Doctor of Education, finished all the classes, just never did the dissertation. So I'm
Right.
EBD, ABD. It's a designation. I'm taking it.
Bing, 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 bing. That's that. No, really. I encourage, now that I'm older, and I have 4 sons, I encourage, don't ever leave school. Don't get as educated as possible.
Yeah. And then but then at the same time, like I'm looking back, I'm like, I could have been selling real estate this whole time.
Yeah, but I look at it, and maybe I'm wrong, Ruth. I don't know. I just got to look at it like, I don't think, what if realtors went away? I mean, that's preposterous, but it could happen. Anything could happen. My parents and grandparents, a lot of their jobs just disappeared, and the robots are coming. So,
so there's a lot of talk, like that older agent friend I told you about. He's been telling me long before I got into the industry. He's like, realtors will be defunct. They won't even exist. And he was saying like 5 years. And here's the thing though. And it's kind of like, I made this comparison with another, because, as agents, we sometimes have to battle the for sale by owner. Like the client thinks we get paid to push paper. Right.
Right.
And I kind of had to like compare it to this. I was like, listen, like, I actually think I'm better than most lawyers out there. And I actually think I can do enough research and represent myself better than a lawyer. But here's the problem. The lawyers that I would be against, and the judge won't respect me because I don't have the designation.
Let their guard down.
Correct. And so like the same with us in our agencies, like we've had to take classes to get here. Not only that, if we're good, we've got years and years and years of experience that we can actually show you. So it's like, where there is value to what we do. So I think that the dismantling. What's that?
I was going to say, you said something and I almost started laughing out loud, but I didn't want to interrupt you. You go, I think I'm better than lawyers, or I could beat a lawyer. And all I could think was, don't set the bar too high.
That sounds really pompous. I can't believe I just
said that.
Good. I said it. Just I didn't.
I will tell you this, coming from, I'll just say, a lot of attorneys in my family and friends, like of my wife, her best friend is an attorney, and she doesn't ever watch my podcast, so I don't have to worry about this. But I wouldn't let her defend me if I had video of me sleeping on the couch while the crime was committed.
Thank God she doesn't watch your podcast.
No, because she would probably go, you know what, Tim, you're a jerk, but that was funny.
But that's hilarious. Yeah, you're like, but I was sleeping on the couch when the act happened.
Time happened, and I'm still going to prison. But no, my point being, yes, not all attorneys, just because they have that designation, and just like realtors, when you talk about when you bought your home, right? It was a horrible experience. I went through the same thing. First home. And I was like, and it was a double dip because they represented me, and then I bought a home that was built that was twice as much as the home they sold, and they got paid, and I remember doing all the work.
I'm like, you shouldn't have to. Now listen, there's things that we cannot, I don't know about where you're from, but here in Virginia, like I cannot call and transfer your utilities. I legally cannot do that for you. Like there are limits to what I can do in terms of concierge.
Is there a book called Some of the Dumbest Rules of Virginia?
That you can't call and switch someone's utility.
Right.
I can't do that for them. Now we actually, EXP has this really cool service where they can submit where they're moving, and it will tell them who to call. But you got to figure too that you can't do that, because then, I don't like my neighbor. So suddenly I'm calling and switching their utilities to like something else. Like I can't.
Right, that's true.
Like I'm sure someone in Virginia has done something to cause that to be true. So
there's always somebody somewhere that caused something. Don't go to Arizona. Just so you know, if you buy a home in Arizona, and I think if you lease a home, I'm sure the rules are the same. I don't remember. But if you buy or lease a home, and this is probably the same everywhere, I thought it really odd, you also inherit the debt of the utility.
What?
Yeah, like.
So the
first, if you buy the home, they owed $500 in back utilities. Now you inherit it, and you cannot have utilities turned on unless you pay it.
So that transfers. Okay, so it's kind of like title, like we have
It's
title.
like yeah, exactly.
Like, so that the liens on the home don't come over with the purchase of the property, because
Right.
that carries with the property. But no, we
Right.
don't, utilities don't move with the property.
Utilities of all things, like, hey, I need water.
You owe us $2,000 if you
Right.
want some water. You're like, what?
The Jones family didn't tell me that.
So
but-
is there a contingency then in Arizona, I would imagine, where they can have that looked up so that
yes,
yeah,
yes.
so that it's taken
It's
care
part
of.
of the. It's part of. It's not part of the title search, but it's part of. It's just the due diligence of the listing agent, and by law they have to let you know, and it's. So I made the joke about it. You know about it before you buy the home. And usually it might be $100, right? I mean, it's nominal. Most people are going to fight over the $100 or whatever it is, but it's still shady.
Yes, because like, who's the person that's like, yeah, I'm gonna move and not pay this,
Right.
and then
Right.
and knowing that the next one coming in has to, like, who is
Oh,
that person? Like,
right.
wow,
I want $400,000 for the home, and I'm not paying this $125.
I'm not paying my $100 sewer bill. Good
Right.
luck.
No trash for you. Anyhow, so let's hear about, where are you now in your business? Are you a solopreneur? Are you on a team? What is it?
I've been solo my entire career. So no, it's funny. I just had a conversation with an agent I brought in who wants to look at a team for herself. And I've actually been super anti-teams because I just felt like a lot of the teams that I've ever known of kind of just used and abused the agents underneath, like their workhorses. And I didn't love that. But as I've grown in my business, I realized that there's some people that need that, like they need to be fed those leads to kind of build a business. So I'm less critical. I think I'm more critical of how a team is structured. Like, okay, if you're
Right.
going to join a team, are all those leads that you collect, if you collect any personal leads, do they now own that lead? Like I was
Right.
talking to agents in Australia, there's a company that if you work for that company, every lead you've ever had under their umbrella is theirs. And they are known to sue agents who leave, even if it's your brother. If they leave, you can't, oh, no.
Sure.
No, like I
Sure.
think that's so awful. So like, I know.
Cease
So
and
yeah,
desist. I've gotten cease and desist. I've gotten all kinds of things because I contacted someone and let them know that I now live in Florida, and I'm not going to be servicing their area anymore. And hey, and this, and if you know anybody in Florida, boom, what are you doing? Cease and desist.
how did they find?
It's I don't know. I don't know. They're tattletales, whatever. I don't know.
Wow. So no, for all the reasons you just said,
Yeah.
I built my business solo.
Nice.
I got to Icon solo, and I'm teaching others. And that's the other thing I've learned too. Like, just because I can teach you how to do this doesn't mean you're going to do the things you need to do
Sure.
this. And now I'm working. I just before this was on the phone with agents in South Africa. Like I'm growing kind of the EXP branches globally and
Downlines.
having a lot of fun.
Downlines.
That's so MLM of you.
I know, but it's the only way I can really explain it. In the right
I'm growing
context.
a branch. I'm growing.
Yeah, I guess I used to say it. Well, it's more like alternate location or branch or whatever, and then I just started saying, no, it's my
downline.
Downline of agents. And they all work for me.
The thing is, like, MLM is built on the negative MLM is built on the idea there's no product being sold. You're just piggybacking the efforts of the people below you. So there's
Right.
really no opportunity for you to grow in a negative MLM. In this instance, and I tell people this all the time, like Glenn Sanford actually is genius because we're a one owner company. We are completely debt free. And in that one ownership, he's like, how much money do I need? He's
Right.
like 20% of 88,000 agents is a lot of money. So he's like, why don't I just create a structure where I give back to people so I maintain my single ownership and then they in turn are rewarded. So for example, before this company, I was in another company and I kind of chuckled because the guy was like, hey, if you bring any agents over to this company, I'll give you $500. One time. So I go to the trouble of like convincing people that this is a great option. Yeah, $500. I was like, I've made $500 over and over and over having introduced people to company. So
I
like
can make a $500 career like over and over and over.
in like 2 seconds. I just chuckled, but at the time I didn't know enough about EXP, and I was like, wow, that's so nice of him. No, it's not. Like,
Yeah, for
because he's
sure.
gonna make so much money off that one. Yeah.
Right. It's a huge, I think I actually had somebody on the show the other day. It gave me a laugh, a chuckle, whatever you want to call it, or pause. And he actually started at EXP and left. And now he's with what I call a box.
Yeah. Like Century or Remax.
Yeah, right. You know, the ones that ride hot air balloons around in the sky.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So wait, you call this the icons of real estate. You're not necessarily referring to the EXP icons of real estate. It's just iconic people.
Yeah, well, that, and yes, you're right about that. But like the owner of the company is an EXP agent. So yeah, it's just, we try to have mainly, as most listeners know, mainly EXP on.
Sure.
But we also have podcasts where we talk about the greatness of EXP. And
okay.
Yeah.
Well, because your listeners are not necessarily EXP driven, because they're just interested in, learning from successful agents.
And if they were, then we just block out millions of folks.
Viewers, 100%. Yeah.
Right? All 100 of them. No.
Oh,
so
that's my podcast. That's not my podcast. All 40 of my viewers. Don't laugh.
Don't laugh. Don't laugh. You got to start somewhere and build from there. So tell me, what does the next 1, 3, and 5 years look like for Ruth, and how are you going to get there?
So the next one, I'm looking at having 200 agents like in various global settings. I'm not being fussy about where by the end of the year. 2 years, I expect to at least double that in terms of agents. I'm looking to icon again this year, but I really think this will be my last icon. I've iconed 5 times or 4 times so far. This will be my 5th. I'm about to cap in my 3rd month of my calendar year. So I should be able to icon by the end of the year, because I really want to move into like that teacher. Right. I want to move back into that like coaching, teaching. Like that's really, don't get me wrong, I love selling houses and helping people, but like I'm ready to kind of move into that space a little. So
I don't blame you at all. I mean, there's a lot of us out there who are just like that.
He's like us.
Us
like that. No, and I do love buying it. Like I love that, but I mean, I don't know about you, but I hustled hard in the pandemic. I mean, I was selling 60, 70 houses alone. I finally hired an assistant, and it's slowed down. Now it's slowed down, so I can shift kind of into that recruiting space. And I've had such success that I feel like I've got something to offer as well, like a significant, thing to offer agents coming in. But and I'm Canadian and I'm already global. So like the idea, I did not always think about real estate, but since I came to America, I always wanted a global in something. I always wanted to work in something that was global. So like, that was super cool. When I found this, I was like, wait, so I can like team up with people around the world. I'm like, this is what I was the whole time. Like, this is so great. So yeah.
Ruth Renee, global, international, something.
Yeah. And then in 5 years, I expect to just be like motivationally speaking, like moving into that area. And then I'm also, whoever's listening, I'm a singer-songwriter. I have a publicist. I've finished 2 albums. I just got one of my songs, I think, placed with a guy that does Disney, Nickelodeon, TBS. I just got the email today. I'm like, because every night I finished 2 albums, and every night I'm sending the music off.
Right.
You pay like $10 or $20 because we're looking for da-da-da, and I'm sending it off. So I run 2 businesses, and I see the other one kind of shifting too as I move into, less on boots on ground selling in Lynchburg to.
Awesome.
Yeah. So
that
that's
is awesome.
Nutshell.
That's the great story here. Well,
there's the great story.
Yeah, it is a great story.
Thank you.
Well, so how would someone get in touch with you if they either wanted to work with you as a realtor? Maybe they're coming into the industry. Maybe they're transitioning from being a teacher or something. Or maybe they do want to list or buy a home. How would they get in touch?
So the best way to get in touch with me would be to send an email to Renée Ruth Real Estate at gmail.com. my first name, Renee, my middle name, Ruth, realestate@gmail.com. And if you want to follow the music, you can just go to www.linktree.ee/Renée Ruth. And my little 44-person follower podcast is there too.
That's awesome though. I think that's fantastic.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. So this is Renée, this is what we do every show. And at the end of the show, I always say, this is probably the first or the second time, because I have had a recording of someone who has recorded albums or music before. Oh. So I'm going to say, this is the part of the show I always say, you are the hit record and I'm just the DJ, right? So take us out.
Got it. So literally what you think about, you bring about, and what you appreciate. When you live in those two spaces, everything is possible. Everything.
Nice. Renée Ruth, eXp Realty, Lynchburg, Virginia. Woo! Thank you so much for being on the program. I really enjoyed it. I look forward to catching up with you, your doggy, your husband over to the side.
No more.
Anybody else that might be in the house right now?
All the people.
Yeah, the crowds that are surrounding you, your listeners, your 4 million listener podcast by next year.
By next year, thanks to you.
Soon as possible. Soon as possible. But thank you for being on the program.
Thanks for having me.
I look forward to talking to you again.
Cheers.
Bye-bye.